YouTube and hello Ninth Age community. This is Charles with Evershade Gaming, and I have another Ninth Age battle report. It's been a minute. Happy to be back and making battle reports. Pretty excited about this one, especially because I've got a new army. I picked up some new models recently, and I just got a couple games in with them. So this is the first of two battle reports I'll be making this week, and my new army is Ogre cons. I feel like I've been kind of out scouring the webs for a deal for a new army. I've been kind of looking for some time now, and I just kind of happened to find an Ogre cons kind of for sale, army for sale, and it was 4,500 points, and I liked a lot of the models, and I was kind of pretty confident I would be able to pick it up and turn it around and get it back on the tabletop pretty quickly. So I picked it up, and definitely a big contrast from Empire Sandstal. You know, you got like a lot less models on the board, multi-wound everything, and just kind of faster, a little bit more meaty, less kind of no rerolls. That's a big difference. So this is the list I was able to put together with pretty much everything I was able to procure in kind of the first wave of models that I've gotten. So I ran a list with a Mammoth Hunter. He's got a Hunting Spear, an Iron Fist. He's got light armor with the Wrestler's Belt as an upgrade. He's got Scout and Troll Leader. So I've been seeing this build on some of the forum pages. It looks pretty tough. The Strength 6 is nice. The Hunting Spear is pretty cool. Scout just sounds kind of fun. And then Troll Leader is just, fortitude's awesome. So, and then I have a Shaman General. He's got the Gut Roar and Iron Fist, light armor with Karkanan's Resilience for an upgrade. Give him Resilience 6. He's running Thaumaturgy with Wizard Master. He's got Ritual Bloodletter on his Iron Fist, and he's got Talisman of the Void and the Magical Heirloom. So 3 channels, 5 spells, no BSB. I had one in there, and then I decided I wanted the Mammoth Hunter, so I dropped it. I didn't want to drop anything else, so no BSB. So since I didn't have a BSB, I ran 12 Tribesmen with the Banner Discipline, Champion, Musician, Standard Bearer, Iron Fist, kind of a big meaty unit. I'm going to put my Shaman in. 2 little things of 3 Tribesmen, one with a Champion, a Saber-Tooth Tiger, 4 Tusker Cav with Great Weapons and a Musician, 4 Bombardiers with a Musician, Scratapult, Thunder Cannon, Rock, and a Slave Giant with Great Weapon. And yeah, that's my 4,500 point list of Ogres. And my opponent that I was able to play is Where's the Dark Gods? Which is kind of fun. Combat army against a combat army. Although I do have some pretty serious shooting elements between the Scratapult, the cannon, and the Bombardiers. So my opponent's list is he's got a Chosen Lord on a Chimera with wings. He's got the Burning Portent and the Death Cheater, and he's got the Favor of Sulag, God of Greed. So that's how he's able to get all that stuff on that guy. He's got a Sorcerer on a Battle Shrine with Evocation, Paired Weapons, Plate Armor, Wizard Master, Alchemist Alloy. 2 things of 8 Warhounds in Core with 18 Warriors with Gluttony, Halberds, Musician, Standard Bearer, Zealot's Banner, Champion. And then 6 Chosen of Wrath with Great Weapons and a Musician. 2 things of 4 Chosen Knights of Wrath with Champion Musician. 2 things of 5 Flayers with Throwing Weapons. And then 2 Wretched Ones. Just, run around on their own. So, the game that we played, 4,500 points. We played, Refused Flank. And we played Hold the Center. Which I haven't played Refused Flank in a while, so that was pretty fun. And I thought Hold the Center would be pretty good with my big thing of Tribesmen. 12 Ogres is huge. It's like 36 wounds in a unit plus a Shaman. So I thought, and I thought the little Tribesman sticks would work pretty well too, because you can sort of jam them in the middle to try and either tie or win the objective for the round. So yeah, that's my 4,500 point ogres, and let's look at the battle. So there are my ogres. Yeah, so I bought quite a bit of them painted. I get to paint the Rock. I'm just started working on him and him or her. I really don't know what the sex of the Rock is. And I got a lot of basing to do on it. I got rid of the previous basing that was on it. I wasn't that big of a fan, and other than that, yeah, it's mostly assembled. Got lots of paint on it. I'm just gonna touch a couple things up here and there and improve a couple things, and then bam, I got this nicely, I don't know, decently painted Ogre Kingdom's army. And those are my opponent's Where's Dark Odds army. He's got this incredible theme going on with sort of like kind of like toys and spooky pumpkins. There's like a Jack in the Box for his Warriors champion. His chosen knights are like marionettes. It's very fun. It's kind of circusy almost. Yeah, it's very interesting. And there'll be kind of more close-ups as we keep going through. So this is Refuse Flank Battlefield from the map pack. I think it's map pack number 5. So you get the water feature in the back, the runes, a field, a forest, a hill, and a building, a couple fences. So the spells I took this game are Children Umi, because I have my magical heirloom, Trial of Faith, Wrath of God, Cleansing Fire, and Hand of Heaven. So I took mostly missiles, and then I've got Children Umi for combat. And this is my deployment. We kind of traded a couple drops, and then not really knowing all that much what I'm doing with this army, so I just decided to plop. And without having a BSB, I just tried to space out everything as much as possible, except near the big tribesman block with my shaman, because I figured they can't panic, and then if anything else panics around them, they won't panic still. So that's kind of my thinking there. And then I ended up having to drop my Mammoth Hunter on that side of the board just because there really wasn't anywhere else to put him. So I decided I'd just chuck him over there, and this is that was after my opponent deployed, and he had quite a bit of stuff on that flank for me. So Tuskers on the left, Scratapult, Bombardiers in the middle, 2 tribesmen sticks in the middle near the objective, big block of tribesmen in the center near the objective, Rock next to the tribesmen, Saber-tooth Tiger, Thunder Cannon, Giant, Mammoth Hunter. That's what my line looks like. And for my opponent, he's got, starting on the left, he's got one of his Chosen Knights of Wrath, his Chosen Warriors of Wrath with gray weapons, another thing of Chosen, one of his Wretched Ones next to the building. He's hiding his, Chosen Lord on a Chimera behind the building. And then he's got his big block of Warriors with his Battle Shrine. He's got his 2 things of Hounds. He's got another thing of Flayers in the runes, and then another Wretched one, and he's got another Flayer unit, near that pond in the back. Pretty much so I couldn't scout my Mammoth Hunter back there, which, kudos to him for not giving me that opportunity, because that would have been pretty cool. Could have moved up and chucked a Hunting Spear at that Chimera turn 1. These are my opponent's spells. He's got Spectral Blades, Ancestral Aid, Wrath of God, and Hellfire. It's just some nice picks of some of those cool models. You gotta love that champion Jack in the Box right there in the middle. The Wretched ones are really fun. They're like wind-up toys. It's just a great army. It's gonna be fantastic when it's finished. And this is also showing his Vanguard movements for his flayed ones, or Flayers. So, Ogre Khan's turn 1. I don't really move most of my battle line all that aggressively. I do move my Tuskers pretty aggressively because nothing could see them yet. And I just figured it's got a lot of chaff over there, and they could start chewing through the chaff, and I don't think those Warriors can't really get them right now. So yeah, just sort of I tried that. I don't know. I feel like they didn't really have a lot over there. So I moved them aggressively, and then I didn't really want to get too close to the Chosen Knights, so all I did was put the cannon on the hill, and then sort of line up as much as possible for maybe a couple charges here and there. Turn 1, I get Flex Card 1. I elect to actually save 3 Veil tokens, so I have 5 dice. I'm going to get Trial of Faith off, and I get it off on his Battle Shrine, and it goes through, and I get to do 2 wounds, and he passes both of his Aegis saves. So, fortunately, could have done a couple wounds turn 1 to this the Battle Shrine, the Wizard in the Battle Shrine, but was unable to do so. Bombardiers open up, shoot at the flares, see if I can maybe get rid of one of the chaff units, and kind of low roll, and I don't really get anything. Scratapult misfires, and it takes a wound. And then my Thunder Cannon misfires, rolls another one, so it's a Chariot. Which, coming from an Empire Song style player, I'm at least glad it's a Chariot. I can tell you that. So Ogre Khan's turn 1. I knew I kind of left this wretched one in the flank here. I guess I wasn't too worried. I figured I would either win combat or kill it, and I really was not too worried about going anywhere. Probably a little bit more risky than I needed to be, but yeah, I don't know. I really wanted to move those ogres up. And then since he's got the Tuskers kind of chaffed and tied up for this turn, he just moves his Chimera up to kind of give it some options if I wanted to move forward. And then he really pushes on my left flank with like my Giant and my Mammoth Hunter and my Rock. He really pushes all his warriors forward. The Giant and the Mammoth Hunter shouldn't have too much of a trouble. The cannon, if it wants to charge, and the Rock is a little bit farther, about average, so it could fail. One of them one would fail on average, I would say, if they wanted to charge. And other than that, he moves up so that he's going to be able to control the objective next turn as he wants, which is gonna be good for him, and gonna pressure me to want to get up there and start controlling that. Little Evershade Gaming shout out to Dino. A little upside down picture of my opponent's Flux card turn 1. He got Flux card 1 himself. He gets Spectral Blades off on his big warriors in case I wanted to charge. And then his throwing weapons put a wound on my Bombardiers. And the Wretched one does 0 wounds to the unit. I only do a wound back between my attacks and it making its fortitude, and so I actually had to take a Steadfast 8 test. I passed it, thankfully, and then I passed my test to Reform, and that's when I decided to just throw another Tusker on the side there because I figured 2 Tuskers should mop that up. And then over here, all the charges. So I'm charging the Mammoth Hunter and the Giant into the Chosen Knights on the left, and then I'm charging the Chariot and the Rock on the right into the other Chosen Knights. So you can see the dice. I need a 4 for the Mammoth Hunter, a 6 for the Giant, an 8 for the Chariot, and an 8 for the Rock. So we'll see who gets in. We'll see who doesn't. This is Ogre Khan's turn 2. And I also side that not that the Scratapult couldn't shoot, but I was feeling like there's so much chaff on that side of the field that I needed to get rid of some of it. So I decided to charge my Scratapult into his dogs, and my opponent elected to flee. So then the Scratapult will just fail charge. Good news. All of my chargers made it turn 2, so that was really cool. So, we're really going to get some action over here on this side of the board with all the charges and all the impact hits. And yeah, I'm confident that I think I can just put the hurt on these Chosen Knights. But yeah, I've never really charged with these units before, so we'll see. And then I make the move to chaff his warriors with one of my tribesman sticks, and sort of also start working on the objective. Yeah, it's kind of having a hard time trying to figure out what to do there. I knew I needed to just try and start fighting for the objective to get some points, but when you choose the first turn with hold the center, you put yourself a bit of a disadvantage of not being able to be reactionary. You have to sort of be kind of start being aggressive, and I couldn't be too aggressive with that Chosen Lord, because if he gets into the tribesman block, he will he'll just rip everybody apart in a couple rounds with the burning portent. So yeah, I do that. I turn my bombardiers to try and get rid of those flares, just because kind of a nuisance on this side of the field, and it'd be good just to see them gone. And yeah, that's what the battlefield's looking like right now. I toss a hand of heaven to see if I don't have to shoot my bombardiers, and I think I think I only get one hit. I think it's like strength 6, and I do 1 wound, and they don't panic, so that's a bit of a bummer there. And then I do Trial of Faith, and I believe I get this one off too, and my opponent stops it, or my opponent passes both his fortitude tests, however many wounds it was. And then I shoot with the bombardiers, and I guess between the cover and the forest, and I think a low amount of shots, I do 1 more wound, and they don't panic from that either. So unfortunately, those guys are still just being a nuisance for me. Good news here though, the Tuskers were able to kill that wretched one in combat, so they're freed up. In one of the 2 epic combats here on my left flank, I've got my Mammoth Hunter going into a challenge against the Champion and the Chosen Knights. I do 1 wound with an impact hit. My Giant just straight up kills a Knight with his impact hits, so that was awesome. And I finish off the Chosen Champion with my Mammoth Hunter. With a combination of a breath weapon that I give him, it was a strength 3 breath weapon, and just my attacks. Actually, I think I barely just snuck a wound through, or a couple wounds through. My Giant does pretty good. I think he does some more wounds. He takes a few wounds back, but we do plenty of damage to the unit to pretty much make him auto break. I think he might have been able to pass on Snake Eyes. Like actual double ones. I think he was down by 6. He flees. The flares flee also go off the board. And I chose to pursue with my Giant in case they didn't make it, and I decided to reform or pivot with my Mammoth Hunter. And in this combat, I only do 2 wounds with the impact hits. So I actually was kind of nervous when I started this one off. I rolled pretty low with my Stonehorn or my Rock, and I rolled even lower with, I think I rolled 1 hit from the Chariot. However, we do manage to blow through. The Rock definitely stepped it up with its normal combat hacks. I think I got 7 hits. I rolled up a couple Battle Focus. Definitely helped that they were Wrath. I was hitting on 3s. And we're able to run them down, and I'm able to get the Chariot into the Wretched one. So that's good. I'll be able to destroy that on his turn, and then pivot around. And pivot and look at something else. This is a good picture of what the board is looking like at the end of OgreCon's turn 2. So, at the start of Warriors of Dark Gods turn 3, he decides to charge his Chosen Lord into my Bombardiers. I think he needed a 9, so I elected to stand and shoot, and he failed it. So I got pretty fortunate right there, actually. And his Chosen, 6 Chosen Wrath with Great Weapons going to my Mammoth Hunter. I was not sure whether or not he could tank this. I mean, I know he's got a fortitude, and he's got parry and everything, but I guess I felt like this would just be an interesting challenge for him. And and then he also charges the unit of tribesmen in the middle. Moves his flares over to try and get rid of my dog, and he chaffs up my Tusker Cav once again. He pulls Flux card 6. Gets Ancestral 8 off in case, I think he's thinking in case I wanted to charge him. So I let that go off. And then in combat over here, he does 2 wounds to me. I only do 2 wounds back, and between my stomp and all my attacks. And I lose combat by 1, and I end up breaking, and I end up failing my Disciplinate check. End up breaking, end up getting caught. And then then he goes to right there. And that was a bit of a letdown, I would say. Which, I know they have a ton of attacks. With like three attacks apiece. It's a lot of attacks coming at him. What, half hit, 6 wound. Maybe he might even should have been able to do 1 more wound, maybe. Yeah, and I guess I rolled probably about average. Maybe if my stomp did a wound. I think he made a couple armor saves here and there, but yeah, unfortunately I lose my Mammoth Hunter to these Chosen Wrath. These guys don't get beat up too bad, which is nice. And they flee. And they get to about right there, and he decides not to pursue. And this is actually going to Ogre Khan's turn 1. I decide that I finally want to try my tribesmen against these warriors, so I decide to bring him in, and I need a 6 to get in there. And my chariot over here was just able to see the front of his, or was just able to see his warrior unit past his Lord on a Chimera, and I was able to go around him, and I needed a 9, and I'm able to put these pieces in. So I've got the warriors, the tribesmen in the front of the warriors, and my chariot going in the front. I'm hoping to sort of just do a lot of impact hits and try and get these guys down and maybe get a combat buff up. Unfortunately, since, I really was not that, I was really dismayed at this point with my choice of magic, because I felt like I really needed Smite the Unbeliever at this point to try and get 1 buff or hex through, however you want to call it. Unfortunately, I don't get anything off in the magic phase, so I was not happy about that. And this is what the boards look like after movement. On his turn, I was able to kill the Retro with my cannon, and then I reposition it, and we all, I stare down his Chosen on my left there with the 3 units over there. I've got my Tuskers ready to beat up some chaff, and I moved my Bombardiers up within 12 to just try and just put some wounds on that Chosen Lord, see what I could do with them. And then the Bombardiers in the shooting phase turn up, and they put 2 wounds on this guy, which I thought was just incredible, super awesome. And now I'm almost like now I'm like with a good stand and shoot, possibly, a little bit of luck. Oh man, if I kill this guy before he can get to combat, that would be very tasty. That would be very good. The Tuskers have no problem beating up the dogs in combat, and they pivot to look this way in case he does want to charge. And this is after combat over here. I really wasn't that thrilled with... I think I forgot an attack or 2 on my first 2 ogres. I just not that great rolling. Actually, what really ended up staving me was stomps. And like my stomps in a bunch of different places did some wounds. I put my champion against his champion, and that was a total whiff. I didn't do anything, and I think he did a 1 wound to my champion. So he really hacked up some ogres. I think he did about 15 wounds. We just were barely able to be steadfast, because we took him down to 2 models and his thing in the 2nd rank, and I failed my steadfast test. I rolled that 10 there. But I think I only lost combat by 3, and my chariot stuck on double 1s. So my Scratapult is hanging in there, and my ogres are heading out of there. So my ogres flee from this combat. This is going a little bit more into Warriors of the Dark Gods turn 2. Or, sorry, this would be turn 3 at this point? Yes. Yeah, this is Warriors of the Dark Gods turn 3. He decides to charge with his Chosen Lord, and those are his saves. Those are his fortitude saves. I ended up doing, I think I ended up doing 6 more wounds with these guys. He made 2 armor saves. I might have even done 7 wounds. I rolled incredible with the Bombardiers again. And he made some armor saves, and he had 4 wounds to make with fortitude. And he rolls 4 4-ups. And I was just blown away. I was like, no. I was like, how did you do that? I thought I had this guy for a second here. And I thought the Bombardiers would be able to live to fight another day. But they're not long for this world. And neither were my tribesmen. So these guys, they fled through my ogres that are trying to score on the objective. Thankfully, I didn't panic either of them. They both passed their panic tests. He did, however, have these two little flayers left who were able to charge and catch these guys with no problem. I think he needed like a 14 to catch me because, they're so fast. And I don't think I fled very far the second time when he charged me. So, unfortunately, there goes my shaman. There goes the rest of that tribesman unit. Just gone. Such a shame, because I felt like we did some serious damage to those warriors. And had we stuck around, I think we would have been able to outgrind them. But, couldn't stick it in there. This is his Chosen Lord making it into the Bombardiers. And he's very, very well done. Chased me again with his dogs. Yeah, which I feel like I really didn't have an option on that one. And currently, I've got those 2 tribesmen trying to score on the objective. Maybe get a point this turn, tie up the objective, because right now it's 1 in his favor. But yeah, this is what the board's looking like. He decides to just move his Chosen to Wrath right in front of my Rocket Rock and sort of be like, come in and try and do this. If my impact hits, can't really kill him off. Very good chance he'll just kill me with all that strength 6. So very, very tough decision to make right there. This is what the rest of the board's looking like. He gets Flux Card 3. He's able to get Ancestral 8 off, which he's already hitting on 2, so I wasn't too worried about that. And then Wrath of the God comes down, and he had that marker up. I probably forgot to mention that he cast it a couple turns ago. He had 2 markers up. Kills the rest of his flayers, and then peels an ogre off each of my tribesmen, and one of them flees, unfortunately. So now I can't even contest the objective, unfortunately. So not looking good at this point. His Chosen Lord just destroys those Bombardiers. Not a single wound is left. And then the warriors are able to kill the Scratapult, no problem. They're able to take that thing down. And yeah, this is what the board's looking like now. This is Ogre King turns 4. I decide to I found out that I was able to charge the dogs with the Tuskers, and when I pivot after combat, I will not be seen by the warriors. I'm just able to angle out of it. So I decided I'm just gonna go for it, kill the dogs, bait the Lord in, see if by some miraculous, because they do have great weapons, see if by some miraculous thing they got a couple wounds left, and maybe, just maybe, I'm able to poke wounds on it. That's kind of my only option at this point, since my Canno's out of commission, and everything else that's got some high strength is on the other side of the board. And I debated about what to do with the Rock, charging the Chosen. I liked the idea of chaffing the Chosen with my dog, but I was worried I would just fail my frenzy test anyway, so I decided I'd just charge in. And no magic, no shooting. I go in, and yep, I kind of had a bad feeling about that, but I rolled low. I only got like 4 impact hits. They do kill 2 more Chosen, And then with, his 9 more attacks, he's just able to put the last 3 wounds on the Rock and kill it. So unfortunately, that thing just goes in and died. So yeah, those chosen, they're tough. They turn to face the giant. They're gonna take him out next turn. And then I had an ogre. This is actually now this is Where's Dark God's turn 4. It's kind of speeding up with less models in the board. I had one ogre on the other side of that building that I was trying to just sort of keep alive, challenge objective as well as I could try. He gets hellfired off the board. It causes my thunder cannon to flee, and that thing's fleeing. He does put his chosen lord into my Tusker Cav. He gets Ancestral Aid off. And then in a beautiful twist of fate, my wonderful giant here, which I'm already just in love with. I love this Ogre Kingdom's, those Ogre Con's giant is incredible. A+. Beautiful, the great weapon. They only put 3 more wounds on him. I don't know, somewhere along the line they didn't roll all that hot. And they didn't do that 4th wound, and he's able to just club and stomp them to death, and no more chosen. So that was a little sweet thing for me. And then, oh man, this guy just goes to town. So he hits with all his attacks. He only wounds twice, because thankfully he's only wounding on 4s. I was able to stop Spectral Blades. However, with his multiple wounds, he does 6 wounds, so he just kills 2 Tuskers left, like, off the bat. Which I already had 1 wound on a model anyway from the Wretchwood earlier in the game, so I was hoping he would only do 4, and I might have 3 models to attack him. His Chimera whiffs, actually, doesn't do a single wound. I go to strike back, and I just can't, and nothing rolls up. No, I only think I do 1 wound, and he just makes a save somewhere. So can't get half points, can't get full points for just killing this guy, and sadly, these Tuskers get beat up. Because honestly, man, I would have liked to have seen these guys survive, kill this dude, go into those warriors, try and get some points there. Who knows? But nope. These guys get ground to death, and that's pretty much the end of the game. His chosen lord catches the rest of the Tuskers. I just sort of move like the couple remaining things. I never used my dog, so I feel like I made a mistake there. Bro, really, I must have made a mistake. I feel like if I didn't use my dog early enough. And yeah, I got 1 tribesman fleeing up in the corner. He's still just heading for the hills. Giant's alive on 1 wound. And that's where we call the end of the game. This is a 20-0 victory for the Warriors of Dark Gods. They just did an excellent job of countering so many of my charges, really holding their ground. I mean, as Warriors do. And yeah, taking some serious punches in the face, dishing them right back at me, and just slugging on. It was really impressive. I had a great time playing with the Ogres. They were fun, different. I liked how fast they were generally across the board, and some of the shooting elements were fun. The magic was interesting, different. Thanks for all for watching, and see you soon with another Ninth Age Battle Report.